The opinions expressed within the content of this podcast solely that of our guests and do not reflect the views and beliefs of the Bigfoot and Paranormal Encounters podcast, its hosts or its affiliates. Dave Weigert was born and raised in Baltimore, Maryland. His family has seen and experienced far more than most families with strange encounters and tragic moments. Dave, the youngest of 4 children and the only living sibling, went on to have many strange encounters throughout his childhood and adult life. At age 20 he began his journey to learn about the unknown. Dave has a background with Baltimore County Fire and Police, private security, bodyguard, bank security and security for a Baltimore sports team and other law enforcement agencies. Dave started the Maryland Paranormal Research Team in 2003 and closed the doors in 2016. He started Other Voices on the MPRT radio network along with a newsletter. From 2007 till 2016 he was the curator for the haunted Ramblewood Mansion. He hosted years of paranormal research and investigations at the location. Dave was also a mobile DJ for 35 years. Dave was a speaker at a number of colleges speaking about the paranormal to students. Dave founded the Maryland Bigfoot Research Team in 2018 and left it to a former member of MPRT. He now resides in Bucks County, Pennsylvania near his grandchildren. He has since founded the Mid-Atlantic Bigfoot Research Team. He currently hosts a podcast weekly called Bigfoot and Paranormal Encounters Podcast. Let's welcome Dave to the podcast.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to Bigfoot and Paranormal Encounters podcast. I usually, when I have a guest on, put the bio up, but I tried this afternoon, and wow, our guest has such a lengthy bio, and we're going to be chatting with him. So without further ado, let's bring in our guest, Randy Stewart, a.k.a. Rockin' Randy.
Well. Good afternoon, sir. How are you today?
Let me try to position myself a little. Let me slide this super a little bit. I should have already done that. There we go. And I'm good. I'm good. How about you?
I'm doing awesome, and thank you for having me on your show. And it's a pleasure, and it's great to be here. I'm here in Las Vegas today, where it's nice and warm, and I'm really happy to be here. I can't express myself. I just really thank you for letting me be on your wonderful show.
Yeah, I'm super excited. We have so much to talk about. I'm not even sure where to start. I know we're going to get into the Bigfoot, aliens, and ghosts and all that good stuff. But I think I'll start, because I'm a big fan of pro wrestling. And yourself, you were a pro wrestler for some time.
Yes.
And it's something I explained to you I tried getting into, but because of a tragic car accident, I was unable to continue. So let's.
Well, I'll tell you what, wrestling for as long as I did, I feel like I've been in a car accident.
I bet. I
Yeah,
bet.
it's a tough living. You make good money at it, but the wear and tear on your body just beats you up after a while. I mean, there's times where I can't even get out of bed. I don't do pain pills. I don't do drugs of any sort. So take a Midol here and there to cure the pain, and it helps me out. But you're a professional stuntman when you're a wrestler, and people don't understand that. But you do your own stunts. You learn how to fall. You learn how to take a fall. You learn how to throw somebody without killing each other. And it's nerve wracking and long hours sometimes.
So what year did you start?
I started wrestling in the '80s, all up to the '90s. I was Ravishing Randy. I used to do TV spots. I've wrestled all over the place. Like I said, I've been world heavyweight champion 3 times. I've been television champion. I've been 6-man tag team champion. I've wrestled basically. I've had just about every belt there is except for the WWE.
Mm-hmm. Uh, and if you're allowed to, name some of the wrestlers that you were in the ring with that you had matches with.
Let's see, Arn Anderson, the Four Horsemen, Ric Flair. I wrestled Hulk Hogan before he was Hulk Hogan. He was Golden Sterling at the time. I wrestled, the Rock and Roll Express. I wrestled against my own teammates, the Midnight Express. Um, I wrestled with Dusty Rhodes. I've done basically all your older guys. Dick the Bruiser, Moose Choloff. I mean, these guys really go back in the old days. And, I'll tell you something. Today's wrestling is not what it used to be. Back in my day, a punch was a punch, a slap was a slap. You got hit with a chair, you got hit with a chair. Granted, you know how to take the hit from the chair, but still, I mean, if you see my eye above my eyes here, I've got scars, my forehead from cuts and other things we do in the ring, and it's nerve wracking on your body.
Wow. So how many years total?
12 years, almost 13 years.
Almost 13 years.
I was
Wow.
Ravishing Randy for a long time, and then we had Ravishing Rick Rude and Ravishing Randy Rhodes, and I'm like, okay, you guys got to come up with your own gigs. So I went out with Rockin' Randy because I don't want to change my uniforms, my boots. Boots are expensive, and because I had double R's on my boots, so my boots cost me $300-$400 a pair.
Oh
So
yeah.
yeah, I had blue boots. I had shiny patent white leather boots. I actually had a boots that are really cool. I lost them in a flood, but they were made by Dusty Rhodes. For Willie Nelson designed them for Dusty Rhodes, and they were actually blue and white cowboy boots. And across the toe, it had 4 laces. And I did a lot of promos for Tony Lamas for selling those boots.
Wow. Yeah. Give me 1 second here. I'm just looking for. We're going to get ready to do a little slideshow, and you can explain some of the photos. I'm looking for. Hmm, that's strange. Uh, I thought for sure I. Well, I guess I didn't. I had entered two of your wrestling photos, but they're just not showing.
Welcome to live TV podcast.
Yeah, really. You know, I left Restream and came over to StreamYard because I was having those problems. And since I've been with StreamYard for 2 months now, I haven't really had that many issues. But
well, I had an issue on StreamYard on my very first show.
Really?
The show was on and it went blank and said StreamYard, sorry. And I got this big sad face. I'm like, what? Stop. And so I had to go back and redo I had 8 minutes to get my show back up and running. And I had to send out, my request to everybody because everything changed. And I had, I had Steve Calls on my show, the Bigfoot investigator. He's on History Channel and all, and he's on all the major channels for Bigfoot and stuff. Finding Bigfoot, National Geographic. I mean, he's on all that stuff. And he's like, Randy, what happened? I'm like, I'm sitting in the studio going da 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 da. And then my host, who helps me host my show, he's like, what happened? I'm like, I don't know. It just went off, And then my second show I did, out of nowhere, I was sounding like Voltron. Hello, how are you? I mean, I sound like Voltron from Transformers, and I couldn't get rid of it.
Well, let me ask you this. I noticed up here next to my two, you have 2 channels that are streaming. Is it showing on your end that they're good to go?
Yeah.
Okay. Because one of them has a red check mark in it. The other one has a black X.
The red one is YouTube, and the other one is X, Twitter, which is now X. So we're streaming live to there because most of my people go to there. So I'm pushing it out for you today.
All right, let's start this little slideshow, and then I'll get back to I'll throw the chat room up there. Let me go to that first. Let's see, Harry Green Jr. Let me throw that up there. Bigfoot researcher, have you ever heard of the Bridgewater Triangle? Many sightings out here. All cryptos. I seen a Thunderbird in 1996, a cryptid raptor, very big, bigger than a split to back style house. And that's from Harry Green Jr.
Is that a question for you or for me?
I guess for either one of us. I'll go ahead and I'll let you have it.
I've never heard of the Bridgewater Triangle. As far as the Thunderbird, I know we had one in Evanston, Illinois, that they reported. It tried to attack a child back in the 80s at some time. Personally, myself, I've heard about them. I've never seen them.
Okay. All right. We're going to jump back into the chat room in a few minutes. So I just wanted to let the listeners know. And another thing to keep in mind, sometimes when you ask a question, you may have to put your first name next to your question, depending on where you're listening from, because I know StreamYard blocks names, and I know Restream used to do it as well. So let's go ahead. I'm gonna bring up this first photo, and you can just go ahead and briefly, give it a. Let's see. Come on. Here we go.
Me and Larry, the cable guy, I did a show. Larry's a good friend of mine. I did a Children's Cancer Society. We played baseball with the old teams in Tampa, Florida. And Larry was good enough to come on there and donate his time, didn't charge us, and came out there and played baseball to raise money for the Children's Cancer Society in Tampa, Florida.
I'll tell you what, my cousin, if he was alive today, he'd be watching. My God, they resembled. He looked just like Larry the Cable Guy. He followed him and went to his concert, to his shows and all that good stuff. And when I threw that photo up there, I see Larry the Cable Guy, but I also see my cousin Bobby. Yeah,
get her done.
They were a number. All right, here we go.
Kiss 2007. I met Gene Simmons in the band. Well, actually, I met Gene Simmons at the I Love Indie. He owns that. And they were doing a show. And look how skinny everybody is. That is actually the live kiss. The guys are great. I got to sit in the back while they put on their makeup and shoot the shit with them and have a good time. And they put on one hell of a show.
Awesome. Great band. Yeah, I love them. I still like them. All right, here we go.
Me and Jessica Simpson. She's a woman off to the far right-hand side under the word son on the picture. Another show I did for the Children's Cancer Society and to raise money for what was it? It was we did 2 shows together. Jessica Simpson was one of the she joined the Suntan Girls that day. She was out there with them, and very, very nice young lady. I got to have dinner with her and some other things, and it was a great show. I'm big for raising money for the Children's Cancer Center in Tampa, Florida.
Okay, let's go ahead to the next one. I'm not sure what that is.
That's my TV show, Studio 10 in Tampa, Florida.
Okay. And this is, you're a singer as well.
Yes, I have over 400 songs on YouTube. You can see them. It's under Randy Stewart. I sing everybody else's music for a long time. That's me singing with a band, actually. I take everybody else's music and make it mine. I've got 400 songs, like I said, on YouTube that you can watch. And I just love entertaining. I sing, I do magic, I do ventriloquism. I've opened up for Louis Anderson here in Vegas, Wayne Newton. I've opened up for a couple other people and want to do stand-up comedy.
There's the guy.
There's Louis Anderson. He's dead now. God, he's in heaven doing his act. I opened up for him at the Plaza here in Las Vegas. Him and I were at Dunkin' Donuts having coffee.
Wow, Dunkin' Donuts, good old Louis. Yeah,
Louis he was a funny man. He told me, he goes, Randy, and I shouldn't say this, but we got an audience because I could do a clean show, or I can do a dirty show with jokes, and he goes, let it rip. So I looked at the audience, and there were no kids out there, and he goes, you're one of the dirty. He goes, you're worse than Eddie Murphy. I'm like, no, I'm not. He says you make Richard Pryor look like a school kid. I go, no, I don't.
I even love this cartoon. Yeah, very funny guy. All right, and here's one more, and then we're going to go back to the chat room. Looks like there's 2 comments up there, so let's show this last one here.
Those are the guys from the Tampa Bucks. They're the guys you see in the stands and stuff. They're like their cheering squad.
Uh-huh.
And I've done some work with Ricky Reynolds and some of the football players. I've done charity shows with them. I'm big on charity shows, making money, like I said, for the Children's Cancer Center, Jerry's Kids. Anything is for the kids, I'm on. That's what we need. And I love kids. I think kids are what makes us go around. My kids are all grown up, but it's just great that my grandkids, I talk to them, and it's just great to be with kids and help kids who are more unfortunate than we are. And everybody that's out there listening, if you go to the Tampa Bay Children's Cancer Center and donate to them, they're not curing cancer. Well, what they're doing is helping the families along. They help them, like the parents want to have a night out because, they don't have no time to stuff. They take care of the kids. They help the parents buy groceries, help them buy stuff for Christmas. I mean, and these kids are not what you normally would see. They're not sick. They have hair. Me and James, JT Curtis, we go down there and spend hours with the kids, sitting at little chairs, making clay things for them, just playing with the kids and singing them songs. And it's a great time. But the Children's Cancer Center in Tampa, Florida is a great organization. And please go out and donate to them, whatever you can do, especially if you're in Tampa. You don't have to be in Florida, but it's an awesome organization for families.
Oh, Randy, I thank you very much for all you've done. As well as myself, I've done, a lot of charity work and, lost for words there. Charity work, in my 35 years of entertainment with karaoke and being a local DJ in Baltimore, Maryland. And I've done a number of charity events myself. I want to give a shout out to Brandon. Says, how is everyone? Brandon, we're doing fine. Hope you're doing well and doing a lot better. I got to get back in touch with you and definitely want to have you on the show. So just be patient with me and I'll get an email out to you.
Hey, Brandon, I'm going to do this for you. Last night I had a dream. The great Buddha Bondine, the lady with the third eye, she walked down the 13th step of the pyramid. She said, Rockin' Randy, tonight is a night. You're going to be on the Bigfoot Paranormal Encounters podcast. I said, I can't wait. As the thunder was clashing, the lightning was flying, asphalt was everywhere. I saw that vision, and here I am on here tonight talking live to Brandon Crotty.
There you go. And I want to go back to Harry Green. He said it's a triangular region that might be cursed by the natives. That is in reference to his first question. Want to say hi to Linda. She says, a little late, but I'm on, Dave.
Hi, hey, Linda. Better late than never, you know?
Yeah. So...
By the way, Dave, I used to be a DJ in Syracuse, New York. I was an AM DJ, yes, for WOLF, Superstar 15, WOLF, Syracuse weather. Yeah, I did it all. The reels, the 45s, the albums, the cassette tapes, the 8 tracks. And now I do my own radio show here. It's WROK FM, which most people don't get unless you're in Vegas, but it does stream out live on Zeno. So if you want to go check it out, you can hear. I play all genres of music. I just don't play country. I play oldies, country, rock, classic rock. I play it all.
Awesome.
I got a little plug-in for me, you know.
There you go. I'll tell you, I remember the my God, when I first started, I was carrying Coca-Cola trays of CDs and
oh, Dave, I used to wear the wolf outfit and go to bars and do the wet T-shirt contest, give away records out of the Pepsi van, you know, because it was done by Pepsi Cola. And I was on from like 9 at night to like 6, 7 o'clock. Sometimes I started at 6 in the afternoon, depending on what was going on. Mm-hmm. It was a boring job.
Okay, you know, I'm sorry, I'm going to throw this up. The reason I asked, because I thought this was a paranormal chat. I never watched wrestling. Oops, my bad. Well, you know, in today's world, you know, you'd be surprised, Harry, who's into the paranormal. Remember, well, I'm not sure if you are familiar with this guy, but Chris Jericho, for a while, he was chasing Bigfoot. So,
yep.
You know, from time to time, I will have guests on, and you'd be surprised what they've done.
I've had experiences with Bigfoot, Dave, since I was 5 years old, and
let's talk about that.
My first encounter I actually had, I was in Tennessee. My grandparents lived down in one of these little hollers, as they call it. There's only like 3 houses on the whole road. And my grandfather lived in one house, and my aunt and uncle lived in another house. And it was one of those old tin roof, aluminum side houses. You know, when it rained, you could hear it. But in the bedroom, there was 2 feather beds, and there was a window. I'm going to set up the scenario for you. And we were never to play in the woods. We couldn't get off the porch or leave the front yard. And they always talked. At night, you would hear a scream. And my grandfather would say, oh, it was a panther that got away from the circus. And it would scream like a woman screaming. But I think it was one night. First of all, the house, the window I was looking out, there was a gravel driveway about 5-6 foot wide. And there's logs that went across. They had the old stove, cast iron stove, where they fed logs in it to make the heat for the stove. And so behind those logs, it was late at night, I heard this something like eating and chomping. And I smelled the smell several times while I was there. I never seen anything, but I got up and I looked out the window, and all I could see was the back of this thing. It was 6 foot taller than the 4 foot of logs. and it was eating the persimmons off the tree. And I don't know if I made a noise and went, who, what, because like I said, it turned around from that distance. Now we're only talking 10, 15 feet, not much. And its eyes were glowing like reflectors on a bicycle. And I stood there looking at this thing, and it looked back at me. Now, when I say it talked to me, I'm not going to say it used speech. It was like a mind thing. And I said, like, what are you doing? And it just kind of looked at me and said, look, stay away from here. There's poisonous snake. There's bad things here that'll hurt you. And I'm like, yeah, my grandfather says it to me. And it really wasn't much of a conversation. He kept continue eating. And I don't know if I fell asleep standing up, but he was gone. My mother came in the room. She says, what are you doing? I said, I'm looking at a big bear. And she goes, ain't no bear out there. It was. I says, it was talking to me. Well, then she said, oh, you're dreaming. Bears don't talk. Well, I told my grandfather about it, and he said, well, that was a bear. He goes, you're probably just dreaming. And I said, well, it told me to stay away from the logs like you tell me to. Well, that day, my brother and I were playing ball. Ball went over there, I reached out, I got bit in the top of my hand by a rattlesnake. And that was my first encounter that I had with Bigfoot. And then in Cortland, New York, yes, it's a musty smell. It's hard to explain the smell. It's like a dirty garbage can that's been sitting out in a park rotting with diapers, and it's all I can explain.
Right.
Not even like a skunk. I'm looking at the board here where they're talking about questions. But the second one I had, I was probably 6, 7 years old, and I had a Palomino pony named Candy. And it was one of them short, not a real tall horse, the short pony type style. And I never wore a saddle because I couldn't get up there. And the horse got to the point where it would lay down, and I would just get on its side, and it would roll up, and I'd roll up on its back, and off we go. No reins, no nothing. And they had a 100-acre farm in Cortland, New York. And I rode down the trail. And there used to be like a stone wall made with flat rocks. It was about 3 foot tall, and it ran all through this farm. And at the end of this one of the rocks where the fence went, there was a little stream of pollywogs and tadpoles, It wasn't very deep, maybe ankle deep. And I took a coffee can with me, and I was scooping them up, catching them, and putting them in this coffee can, with the lid on and stuff. Keep going to bring them back to the house. And I smelled something. I'm like, what is that smell? Maybe this is dirty water. I'm smelling the water, but this came from the air. I didn't see it. I didn't hear it, but I knew something wasn't right because my horse started, skip his feet and, and Candy just laid down like, get on me. We got to go. And so my dad called us always by a whistle that, type of whistle. If you heard that, you knew you had to get your butt back to the house. And it was getting dark. So I forgot my coffee can there. I got on my horse and off we went. I got back to the house, to my aunt's house. I said, I left my coffee can with my tadpoles. They're going to die. My dad says, they won't die. Leave them there. Next morning, I got up and I went down there, and the coffee can lid on the pull-off lid was off. The tadpoles and stuff were gone, and there was a rock inside the coffee can. Now, I'm the only kid besides my brother. My brother wouldn't wander down there. My aunts and uncles didn't wander down there. And I'm like, man, this is strange. So I gathered up some more, and again, I smelled this smell. And I'm looking around like, where is this smell coming from? And then I started getting like little things splashing in the water. And I'm like, there's no fish here, nothing, Well, I gathered up my coffee can with my stuff because my horse started acting crazy again. And I went back to the farm. Well, a couple of weeks after that, I went back down there, and I took my coffee can. I told my aunt about it. She said, oh, that was somebody playing a joke on you. I said, I'm telling you, I smell something, I bet. And she said, go down there and leave your coffee can again. I did. I left it. Same thing happened again. This time, I just had water in it, no tadpoles. Another rock was inside, and the water was gone, and the lid was laying off to the side. And that was my experience with Bigfoot as a kid. Now, on the farm in Cortland, I didn't see him. But I did in Tennessee, but I smelled that same smell.
Oh, let me tell you, I had a experience back in the early 80s. And all I got to do is close my eyes and just think about it, and I could smell it.
Yeah.
It's terrible. Yeah.
It's a smell that I can't. It's hard to explain. It's a musty, nasty. Like, have you ever hit a buzzard with your car? Or I hit one with a van. And it smelled just like it. Like, and I know the buzzards eating rotting food. That's all I could say. It was like just rotten food, but
Yeah,
like a wet dog.
Right, a wet dog, a combination of bad food and just dirty, very dirty.
Yeah, I mean it's nasty. I used to play box lacrosse when I was a kid in Syracuse on the Indian reservation. I had a couple aunts that were married to the Chiefs, and I love box lacrosse. I wanted to play. I went to all the games, and I was the only white kid on the team, and they called me White Legs. And I would, I would just go to the reservation most of the time in the summertime and in the fall time to play box lacrosse. But they had a totem pole, and at the second head of the totem pole was a Bigfoot head, and they called it Kosukanai or something like that. I forget what they actually called it now, but it's been so long. But they better known as the Hairy Man or Bigfoot. And I used to tell the Chiefs. I told them the story I just told you. I said, I'll go out hunting and fishing and stuff, and especially when I'm squirrel hunting out in the woods by myself, I'd drive my car, go to the woods and hunt, shoot 2 or 3 squirrels, and I would see sticks, pieces of wood shaped like a teepee. I would see trees that were upside down, roots first. I would see branches arch, and I thought nothing of it. But again, I'm 16 years old at this time, and and I enjoyed my squirrel and rabbits. So I used to go out at least once or twice a week, but I used to get like acorns and little things thrown at me, and I would smell it, but I never seen them. And I told the Indian chief about it, and he says, "That's the Hairy Man. He's telling you that it's time for you to go." And he says,
Right.
I said, "Well, why isn't he come out showing himself? Why isn't he hurting me?" He goes, "They're not threatened by you, and they have a." He goes, "I don't know if it goes back to when you were a kid and you and Bigfoot had this conversation, if something he left on you, but you're like an intermedia to the Sasquatch." I'm like, "Yeah, okay, And now since then, I've met 3 different Indians who have talked to me, and they said they feel the same thing. I'm an intermedia, between them and the land and people about Bigfoot. They don't want to hurt me. I think they're more enthused by children." My grandfather told me when I asked my grandfather later in age, I was in 9th grade. I used to go out. My grandfather was all 100, 105 years old. I said, "Grandpa," I says, "what was that smell?" And my aunt had told me about, they had a chicken sitting in the kitchen window at the next house up. There's only 3 houses on this road. And a hairy arm reached in and took the chicken out of the sink. And so they seen the Hairy Man. And he says, "That's why you guys weren't allowed to get off the porch. We weren't sure if it would hurt you or take you." But my grandmother, you got to remember something. Back then in Tennessee, most of their meals was ham from a pig they had or chicken. A lot of chicken. We had chicken for breakfast, chicken for lunch, chicken for dinner. Even if he had ham, he still had chicken. And my grandmother used to take and break the neck off a chicken, break its neck, and set it on the well in the backyard where they drew water from. And that was Bigfoot's, like, it was like his comfort thing. It was like saying, "Okay, we know you're here. Thanks, not bothering the kids." And there was a lot of times I played outside and I would hear, "whoo, whoo," but it never bothered me. And so I don't know if I'm an intermediate to Bigfoot or not, but the last time I seen him was in 2016, and he wasn't a happy camper with me, I'll tell you.
Yeah, my experiences were back in the early '80s, and I worked on a farm for a whole summer for a guy that had a huge farm. And when things would happen, like acorns and corn on the cob, and just different things chucked at us, and I'm sorry, thrown at us up on the deck, um, and that would always happen like just before it got, when it was almost getting dark.
Getting dark, yeah, like when the sun was starting to set. Yes,
Right. And I would hear it. I would hear it scream, or I would hear it hoot, like you just did, that noise. Um, well, they call it the whoop.
yeah,
The closest to seeing it was its arm came out of some brush. So I saw its hand up to about its elbow. And that was enough. That was very, very long. But I see, on the farm during the summer that I was there, I've seen more tracks. The owner actually had a side profile, full body of one. And, after me and my friend arrived there on the farm and started working, and he noticed that we were noticing things that were going on. We were only like, I guess, around 15, 16, somewhere around there. And it just continued all summer. We found deer down at the man-made pond, just legs snapped and parts laying here, parts laying there, blood everywhere. And prior, to that, that would happen like the night before, and you would hear this thing just screaming like hell. But it seemed like when we were on the inside of the house and we heard things, when I went out onto the deck, now my friend he wasn't a believer, you know. I had this strange feeling where I didn't hear Bigfoot telling me, but it came to me in a message like, "Don't worry about what I'm doing; just go back in the house."
It's like reading your mind, reading your thoughts.
Yeah,
I had that, like I told you, when I was a kid, and it's hard to explain, but it was like it was a conversation in my head, and I'm sure it's the same way it was with you. And I'm like,
yeah,
and I've had that happen to me several times before, and it's like, who's talking to me? And it's like, you ever seen the whole Dracula movies? How he would glamour somebody before he would bite them? They'd walk out into the, out of their rooms and down into the foggy forest, and they would, she heard, him calling. It's the same thing. It's hard to explain to people unless you've experienced this. And I'm glad that you said that you heard this. Yes, yeah. It's very strange.
My friend that was there working with me, my best friend, he was like, he laughed. He laughed at me. He said, "Hey, you're cracking up. You believe in that?" And I'm like, "Dude, you just experienced most of it. What part don't you understand?" And he's like, I don't know. It could be a bear. Could be, could be this. Could be that. I'm like, yeah, okay. So then one evening, just as it got dark, we just finished up some dinner, and we ate outside, and we heard this thing out in the woods, and it was screaming and whooping and yelling. And short time after that, what do we see going across the sky? A UFO.
Oh,
and he stands up. My friend stands up, and he's looking at it. And he's like, I don't know, could be a plane, a helicopter. I said, "Come on, man, you just saw it with your own eyes,
Yes.
And he was just a person that couldn't accept any, paranormal stuff, So, yeah.
I was out. I should be saying this, but I was out. My brother-in-law Sam had a farm, and it had about 100-yard farm of corn. And we used to drive the 3-wheelers at that time around the farm and race. One side of if you look, picture says a football field. One side was woody swamp, and the other side was a road that would pass the house. And then on the other side, it was fields and stuff. And then the front side of it was his yard. And so they cut the corn down, and every time we go out there to shoot deer, the minute you walk out, those deer would scatter. Poof. So Sam says, "We're going to go out tonight and get us some deer." I'm like, "Okay, let's go." So Sam and my cousin and I, we broke up into threes. So one in the middle, one on one side, one on the other. And we laid salt licks down by the water where the woods are, figuring that's where they would come out. We're walking down the cornfield with spotlights, lights on our guns. And when I go hunting, I look like Josie Wales, 2 pistols, a rifle, and everything else. Right. So we're walking down, and we see nothing, and you don't hear no frogs croaking, you don't hear no crickets play, and that's another thing. When Bigfoot's in the area, all animals stop. Birds stop chirping, and people say,
and
they're like, "Oh, yeah, it does. I've noticed that." Anyways, we walk to the end, and we're all just standing. Guys get together in a huddle. You got your gun in your hand. You light up a cigarette, and we're like, that's a wasteful night. We're just BSing. Out of nowhere, we hear doof, 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 and the ground's almost like it sounded like a herd of horses running at us. And it's dark, and our guns, our lights are off. It broke through when it went through and it pushed us down. My cousin and Sam went one way, and I went the other way, and we're all looking down, looking up, and going, "What the hell was that?" And there was the smell. And I said, "It's friggin' Bigfoot." And they're going, "You are so crazy." I said, "I'm telling you, that's what just ran between us." Now, he could have killed us, but he didn't. He knocked us down, and he ran into that marsh water. Let me tell you something, Dave. It let out a yell. It was like,
and you felt it in your chest, correct?
It was like it was standing in front of me, yelling in my stomach and my chest area. They're scared. I know what it is. We start shooting. Boom, 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 pow, pow, pow. I mean, I'm letting everything I got. They're shooting everything they got. And it's quiet. All of a sudden, a tree comes flying out of nowhere, the size of a telephone pole, woof, comes out of the woods at us, hits the ground. My cousin goes, "Oh, hell no. Reload." Blah, blah, blah. We're loading again, shining our lights in the marshy wood area. And it continues to start throwing trees, big, large branches. And you can hear as it's walking in the water, not walking far, but like it was moving around so it wouldn't be in our gunfire because our lights are on our guns. So where the lights were, it would you can hear it move out of the way. And we're shining guns left and right, and we're just shooting. And it threw some more trees at us. Sam goes, "I'm getting my dog." He went and got his hunting dog. His dog got out there, took one whiff, and ran back home underneath the porch. Dog didn't come out for 2 days. And I said, "You know something? We're not hitting anything because it's yelling at us and it's still throwing stuff. Look at the time. It's time for us to go." We went back to the house, couldn't sleep. It became an awful pouring down rain. We went out there, and there was one track. You could see it, but not really good because of the water and the mud and stuff. That track was at least 20 inches or longer, and then wider than both of my feet.
I'll tell you another thing I remember from the days working on the farm. The owner, he would get pissed off because he was he was from the war, and he was a little
Excuse me.
I can't think of the proper name for it, but he would wake up out of nightmares and stuff like that, screaming, thinking he was still in the war. Whenever Bigfoot was a problem with his property, and he would hear it from the inside of the house while me and my friend were sitting out on the deck, he would come out with his rifle and just start shooting up in the air. And I noticed this. Every time he did that, the following day, when we had to leave the property with the pickup truck to go get supplies, we would find big trees the size of telephone poles laying across the road, blocking us from getting out.
Yep.
And that only happened when he would fire into the air. Now, associated with these trees, blocking the road, sometimes it would be one, sometimes it would be two or three. Associated with it were footprints.
Mm-hmm.
And my friend, when he looked at it, he's like, "I don't know, bear." I'm like, "Dude, bears don't have big feet like that, man."
Yeah.
He's like, "Okay, whatever." So we would have to, get the chainsaws out and remove the trees and throw them, into the woods, and we'd go get our supplies, and we'd come back, and his driveway leading to the farm from the main road was like 2 miles or close to 2 miles. And sometimes when we would leave out after cleaning up, when we would come back in, we would have to do the same thing again. We were blocked from getting up to the house.
Yeah.
And, my friend looks at me and he goes, "Trees do fall." I'm like, "Get away from me."
Not across the road.
Yeah, not that much. And what would cause, trees to be falling like that, blocking the road? He just couldn't accept it. So the reason we left there was he just got tired of it, and he didn't want to deal with it anymore because I think he knew, but he just didn't want to. He just didn't want to admit to it and say, "Okay, Dave, I believe in this stuff." Yeah,
Dave, when I was getting back to when I was a little boy, my grandfather they cut lumber and timber down, but he was a farmer, of course, and across the road was my aunt's little shack, which happened afterwards. But at the very end of this cornfield that my grandfather had, he used to plow it with a mule. And my biggest thing was I used to go across there at nighttime, get on that mule and ride the mule back. You know what I'm saying? Because that was cool. And one night, my grandfather, it started thundering and lightning, not raining yet. And my grandfather says, "You can't ride the mule because hot animals get struck by lightning. We'll walk the mule back." And I'm not talking donkey, I'm talking mule, like size of a horse. So we start walking back, and Dave, this Bigfoot at the time, to me, it looked like a bear, was actually reaching on the top of the barn door. Okay. The doors were open, the top of the heading of the barn, and shaking the barn, yelling. I mean, yelling that I thought that, it was standing right there in front of us, and we're probably a good 50 yards from the barn. My grandfather grabbed me by my wrist and started running back across the cornfield, across the road to go to the house. And I'm telling you, literally, my feet was like a cartoon. They were in the air, touching the ground as he's pulling me across this field. We get into the house. I believe my sister was in bed. My dad, I don't know. My sister was at my aunt's house. It was two of my uncles and my dad and I was sitting in the house. And the house had one of them wooden front porches. It was only a step up, one step around the porch. But remember the old screen doors that had the screen with the wood in the middle with that wire ran from corner to corner? Okay.
Yep.
My grandfather ran in the house and he yells, "Hairy man is coming." And my uncles go, "What?" He goes, "The hairy man, he's coming. He's running at us." They grabbed the guns. My grandfather had a 12 gauge shot, Stevenson, and they took him off the wall. And the minute they took him off the wall, I was sitting when we walked in, it was a living room, 2 bedrooms off to the side, then a kitchen, a living room, and a bedroom and a bathroom off the other side. I was sitting between the kitchen and the living room. That door got ripped off the hinges. It was so large, I didn't even see its head. It's all I could see was like from his boob chest down, like his groin area. And both of my uncles and my grandfather shot. Boom, 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 boom. It was lightning outside. It was like a strobe show. It fell back on the ground off the porch. It leaned back, it fell down, and they grabbed flashlights and everything else, and they ran out. It was gone. It was nowhere to be found. No blood, no tracks, no imprint. It fell. You could see where something had fallen. It skidded, but it was gone. After that, it wasn't there. And I asked my grandfather about that years later, like I told you when I was in Tennessee, when I was older. And he said, "Yeah," he goes, "that was the hairy man." I think he thought he was hurting me when my grandfather saw me and was dragging me across the field. And my grandfather said, "I'm not for sure, but what was the reason for him coming to the house and ripping the door off the hinges? He never bothered us before." And that was another reason why my grandmother used to leave a dead chicken on the well. And to see Bigfoot be shot, and the day we shot at him in the woods, and I'll tell you about another story here in a minute, but 2016, where we shot at him. I don't believe Bigfoot is part of our realm. I don't believe bullets can hurt him. If they do, they go through him. It's an experience that as a kid, you're thinking, wow, what was, and I'm not kidding you, I had a hard time sleeping. I'd go get in bed with my mom and dad or my grandparents because I was scared to be back at that window again because it was there, But to see something like that, people can't fathom in their minds. And I don't get people think I'm crazy or whatever it is. Like I said, my mother had me tested, but it's something you'll never forget. the smell you'll never forget, and to know that something can be shot and not killed. And I've seen Bigfoot too with balls of light in his hand. People have told me about the balls of light where they've seen basketball-sized lights go down to pins, and there stands a Bigfoot, or walking across the woods with this ball of light in his hand. They use portholes. Are they from aliens? It's a scary thing. I mean, people don't want to believe this. I don't care because, I know what I've seen. You know what you've seen. And until you experience something like that, you have no freaking idea what it's all about.
Well, I'm sorry. I'll say this: when I put boots on the ground, when I go out in the woods researching Bigfoot, I'm not the person that'll walk through the. I'll go to where I think I need to go to. I'll set up a chair,
right,
and I will sit and I will wait. I will have several things at my feet. I'll have a parabolic dish set up. I'll have a what do they call them? Those big flashlights, spotlights. I have one of them, fully charged, sitting beside me, and a gun strapped on my side for protection. But I won't shoot Bigfoot because I don't think it'll do anything. But most people, they have to walk through the woods, screaming and yelling, whooping and tree knocks. I will do that. I do that in my research, but I honestly. Well, here's the thing. If you know an area where they frequent, you don't have to go looking for Bigfoot.
He'll find you.
He'll find you, yes.
I tell people that all the time, Dave.
I have better results taking a chair, opening it up, setting it down, sitting in it, and I'll just speak out. I'll tell it, look, I'm not here to hurt you. If you want to communicate with me, come to me, and then I'll just sit there and I'll observe and I'll listen and pay attention. Yeah, I just honestly don't think you have to walk miles and miles and miles through the woods. Just sit down. If it's an area where it's been spotted, it'll come to you if it wants to. Now, I live in a cabin, and the closest sighting to my cabin, is a half a mile. I live on a street that has about 10 houses, but when you enter my street, my road, and you go down to the end, it dead ends, and then it goes in. There's more woods and farms that surround me than anything.
Yeah.
So that's a reason why Bigfoot, frequents this area. There's been dogman sightings and, whatnot. And from time to time, there's been, UFO sightings in this area. Not sure if you're familiar with Lon Strickler, but he talks about a lot of things that go on in this area and puts up, different posts. Let's see, about 6 months ago was the last Bigfoot sighting that crossed the road, was seen by two firemen that went into, it came out of woods and went onto a farm area. And that's basically what I do. When I get out in the woods, when I get in the area, I don't travel too far. I just sit down and I wait.
Yeah. Well, I tell people call me and they'll say, I heard your show, can you tell us this and that? And these people are going out in the woods hunting for Bigfoot. And I say, something? There's more than one Bigfoot in the woods. There's a day Bigfoot and there's a nighttime Bigfoot. The daytime Bigfoot is watching out what's going on. The night Bigfoot is the one out there doing its kills to, feed the rest of their clan or whatever you want to call it. I tell people, I said, listen, go at night in your camps, sit down at your campfire, talk, sing. I said, if you want to catch a video of a Bigfoot or see one, take 4 cameras, shoot across so they're shooting behind you. You know what I'm saying?
I got to stop you right there. You are me. I have mentioned this a number of times to people. When you're out there and you're filming with a video camera, what about behind you? You have to have a camera pointing the other way because you may be paying attention to what's in front of you.
You're not paying attention to what's behind you.
What's going on behind you?
I had a group of people did what I told them to do. I said, get around there, let the kids do whatever you're doing, sit around a campfire. I says, then set the cameras where one shoots across, showing people talking, it's showing everybody around the campfire 4 different ways. I says, and watch behind you. You will see things moving in the dark. And they've come back, wow, we got video of something, doing this behind a tree, peeking behind a tree. We didn't hear it, but we could see it in the, from the fire or the moonlight. I said, absolutely, because see, he's watching you. You're not watching him. And when you don't pay attention to him, that's when he's out there looking. He wants to see what you're doing. He's interested in kids playing. He's interested in things going on. There's a video, and I contacted the family where the kids are all outside playing around a campfire, and the camera's shooting the kids playing. And you can see in the background Bigfoot walking across the woods, stopping and looking at these kids, watching them. And I said, think about that. If he's doing it to kids playing, because he's not wanting to hurt anybody. I'm not saying there are Bigfoots out there that won't hurt you or try to kill you because they're different in all regions, I understand. But he wants to see what you're doing. He's enthused by what you're saying. They're trying to learn from us. And believe it or not, more people get pictures of Bigfoot sitting around a campfire than they do when they go out looking for him.
Here's another thing I do when I'm out, boots on the ground, and I'm out there with a colleague, whether it's a he or a she. When you're standing face to face with your friend and you're talking to him,
right?
Don't look him in the eyes. Either look over his or her left shoulder or his right shoulder. Pay attention to what's behind him.
Right.
Because you'd be surprised the movement that you pick up.
Well, see, I used to train children I was part of the Explorer team in Chicago. I taught kids how to be police officers. And my son was in it. My brother-in-law was in it. We train kids how to do traffic stops and stuff. And the biggest thing I always tell people, when you're talking to somebody, if they're looking away from you, they're hiding something, or if they're, yawning and the way they hold their body, usually they're pretty much guilty or hiding something. And then I have to turn it, and that's my focus. But now when I tell people you're out in the woods, look around. It's not that, you're not interested in what the person's saying, but look to your left, look to your right, look up, look, like you said, look past them. You'd be surprised what you will see in the woods, people.
Oh, yeah. All right, look, we're at the top of the hour, so I'm going to give you just a short break. I'm going to do a commercial or two, and then we're going to come back and we're going to talk more Bigfoot, aliens, ghosts, and other topics with you.
I've got a good story about 2016 for everybody. Stay tuned about Bigfoot stealing some deer and slapping the house. I'm telling you, you don't want to miss this.
Oh, yeah. So don't go nowhere, people. We'll be right back. And we're back. Yes, that's taking place on September 6th and 7th uh, of this year. And it's all for children, and it's a big charity event. And I'll be appearing there. I'll be doing, yeah, that's me, DJ Sasquatch. So we're going to be doing a lot of karaoke and playing all the great hits and providing the sound system for the speakers, and I'm super excited. I can't wait. All right, so we're back with Rockin' Randy. There you go, Randy. It's all yours. Let's hear that story.
First of all, Ken Gerard is supposed to be on my show in the next couple of weeks. I just had Steve Calls on my show last week, and he's a Bigfoot detective, and those guys are awesome. You guys have not seen them. You need to go to this function you guys got going with the Bigfoot and hear these guys speech and talk, because they're really interesting in what they have to say. I know them. I've talked to them, and I wish I could attend that convention you guys got going on there.
Yeah, I'm super, like I said, I'm super excited. I can't wait. And, some of the guys I haven't met yet, some of them I have. A good friend of mine, Eric Altman, he's doing a super fine job putting that event on, and having all those guest speakers and food trucks, and they're going to be going up into the Chestnut Ridge area, doing some night hikes, and I'm going to have Eric on the show the 18th of this month, and we're going to be talking about the event. So.
Dave, I would love to have an event here in Las Vegas.
Oh, I bet. Yeah.
I wish I don't know how to really set one of those up, have a convention here for Bigfoot, ghosts and stuff, and have all you guys come out there, and maybe later on you and I could talk about that. But I would love to do something here in Vegas, because Vegas has never had anything like this here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I would think it'd be awesome. But getting back now to the Bigfoot stories, everybody, and thank everybody for staying in the room and watching. 2016, I was in Waverly, Tennessee. And if you guys want to see a Bigfoot, I can tell you where to find one, because he's still there. He's been there all my life. 2016, I was in Waverly, Tennessee. I was staying at my cousin's house. I moved to Tennessee for a little bit. And it's so black there at nighttime, you can't see. And if they don't leave a kitchen light on when you park the car, you can't see the house. You can't see your hand in front of your face. If the moon's out, great. But if not, you're pretty much screwed. I went and bought one of these solar lights that the minute you moved, it would come on so I could see the yard. I could find my way to the house. Well, one of my cousins said, hey, we're going out deer hunting today. I said, okay. But in the meanwhile, we would sit on the porch at night, smoke cigarettes and have a beer, whatever it might be, and talk. And my one cousin, Eddie, said, we started talking about Bigfoot. He goes, Bigfoot's still here. And I said, really? He said, yeah. So he gets out a woo, woo. This thing answers him back immediately. I'm like, okay. My one cousin, who does not believe in anything, says, oh, that's a screech owl. Oh, that's a mockingbird. I mean, he had every excuse in the world. And this went on for about a week. Every night we'd out there. And my cousin got where he started playing these animal noises of deer being hurt, rabbits, and animals. One of those boxes you get, plays dead, animals suffering, whatever. And this went on for about a week. Every night we're out there. So the night they killed these deer, they came home. It was in November, hunting season, and it's dark. And the light came on, comes on, but we needed more light, so we were going to pull our cars up, face it towards the deer, and they had them on these steel poles. They hung both deer up there, and they went in to get changed. We're going to go out there and clean these deer. Well, I'm in the bedroom putting on my gym shoes, and they're changing their clothes, and the spotlight came on. And all of a sudden, something hit the side of the house like it was a car hitting it. Boom, boom, and the house is shaking. Both of my cousins jump up. They're grabbing rifles. What in the world? I don't know what the hell it was. The spotlight's on, so somebody's in the yard. We thought somebody hit us with a car. We run outside. Both deer are gone. We see Bigfoot with one deer under each arm walk behind the garage, the wooden garage, and my cousin has his 76 Chevy pickup truck parked, backed into it. Now, you know how tall the roofs are on the old pickup trucks, the roof of the truck, cab of the truck? It was 3 foot taller than the truck. It walked past the truck, walked down in this little gully because it's like a little dried stream, when it rains, the water runs in there. It walked down this gully and started up the hill. Well, the lights from the house that I put up are shining. They go bow, 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 bow. I mean, they're unloading everything they got, and this thing's still walking up with 2 deer. I go, you guys are terrible shots. Reload. We can see it still going up the hill. Pow, pow, pow. I mean, they're shooting. It disappears. Well, we go outside with flashlights. We're trying to look around for footprints. And the ground, it was dry, so ground was hard. So we really didn't see anything, footprints, but you could see where the grass was, pushed down. We looked up into the woods, and you can see the scuff mark where he walked off into that little ditch, and scuff where he went up the hill. And all right, it's gone. So the next morning we get up, we go outside, and we take a look around. Again, just the same thing I just told you about footprints. But the neighbor next door, which is my grandfather's old house, my grandfather passed away and he sold the house. He came over and he says, "What in the world were you boys shooting at last night?" He said it sounded like a Vietnam War out here. So we told him the story I just told you. And he goes, "Well, what's funny, he bought one of those spotlights and it went off and something was trying to get in the dog cage where he kept his hunting dogs." He goes, "And the minute the light went out, something banged the side of their house and it dented the aluminum siding on the house where it had slapped the house." Well, we told him what happened, what we experienced. And he said, "Well, I was trying to get my dogs I take in, it took our deer." My cousin, Ricky, who is still alive today, he refuses to tell anybody he saw this or what he shot at. My cousin Eddie, who passed away, said, "Randy, I've seen this thing at the edge of the road holding that ball of light. And this ball of light will follow you back and forth if you drive down this road." And that afternoon, we're all talking. I went up to my other cousin's house and I came home, and you come down this road and you make a left, and the driveway kind of candy canes to the front of the garage and the side of the house. Well, as I pulled in, I looked up and there stood Bigfoot. It looked like a giant at the top of that hill standing there. And I'm not kidding you. I'm like, whoa, is he mad because we shot at him or hit him or what's the deal? So I opened up my car door more and I reached in sideways to get my cell phone because I'm going to take a picture of this or take a video. As I just glanced away for a second to get the phone. Time I look back, he was gone. So now I'm like, okay. So I go, woo, woo. I made the sound and I got my phone on and it yells back. But I can't see where he's at. And I'm like, all right, I'm leaving this thing on video because if he kills me, at least somebody to know what happened to me. My cousin Eddie, who has seen Bigfoot several times, he pulls in. He goes, "Rand, what's going on?" I said, "That Bigfoot we shot at, he's back. He's up there in the hill somewhere." I said, I yelled and he yelled back. My cousin lets out this woo, 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 woo sound that he does. It yelled back again so loud, Dave. And I'm talking, it felt like I was standing in front of a concert speaker. It was like running through my body and his body. I'll be honest with you. I was scared. And I said, "Look at the time. I'm getting the hell out of here." I left and I never went back to that house again. And my cousin Eddie said, "That was the hairy man. Either we pissed him off or, why he came back and what he did." But I mean, he yelled and we couldn't see him. And I never went back. That was my last encounter with Bigfoot on the hill there in Tennessee. I moved back to Vegas. But that scared the living hell out of me because I didn't hear him shuffle the leaves. I didn't hear him running through the brush. He disappeared like he just vanished. And then I'm looking everywhere up this hill. And then it's sunshine out. I could see everything at the top of the hill. But I don't know where he was screaming from. But it was like he was standing in front of me. And it was the most scariest thing I've ever had in my life to have something yell where I couldn't see it, like there was a speaker in my chest.
Terrible. Yeah.
It was scary. And like I said, that was one of my last encounters. I had encounters with Bigfoot in Florida at the Okeechobee River. They call it the skunk ape. I call it Bigfoot. I was fishing and I look across the water and here he is sitting down, squatting, eating clamshells, freshwater clamshells. And I'm just chomping away. I ain't bothering him and he ain't bothering me. And I'm looking at him. The park ranger came up and said, "Hey, park closes in an hour. You need to start picking up." I said, "Do you see what's across the water?" He goes, "Where?" I said, "Right." It was gone. Never made a sound.
Now
And
here's
Steve Collins was on my show the other day. He said a Bigfoot was standing behind him for a long time. He never even heard it walk up on him.
Mm. Now I hear this a lot. They say it's bad to feed Bigfoot or gift him or her. What's your thoughts on that?
My grandmother fed them as a gift to keep peace around the house, I guess. Far as feeding them, I think if you offer them something, they will offer you something back. I've been in the woods and I tell people who they find rocks that are piled up. If you put something on top of it, he will take that off and put something back on it. And I talked to Ken Burke and I told him, I said, next time you guys are out, take electromagnetic, something that does electricity, touch it to the rock. See if there's any energy in that rock. And they said, yeah, we even taking the rock away from there, they found this power or whatever you want to call it, electrical, whatever in those rocks. Bigfoot does a lot of things for different reasons, but I feel if you're not hurting them, like the Indians say, they're the guardians of the woods. If you want to feed them, expect something back. And if you don't get something back, it will, or if he doesn't take it, it wasn't meant to be. Because I know people eat pizza out and Pepsi cans and stuff, and there's a Bigfoot, he's going to take it. Feeding him, it's like any animal. If you feed a cat, will it keep coming back or does it stop?
Comes back. Now, they also say that Bigfoot can cure.
It can what?
If they choose to. They can cure people. There was a woman, I listened to a story, I can't remember. Oh, it was Jim Myers, Sasquatch Outpost.
Right.
Talked about a woman that had stomach cancer. And her friend was going to a camping event, Bigfoot camping event. And her stomach was really swollen and, she was in pain. And so she kept asking her if she was interested in going. She said, I am, but I'm not feeling well, so I don't think I'm going to go. Well, when it came time to go to this event, she changed her mind and she went with her friend. And on the last night, she was in her tent. She said, no, you go ahead and go out and enjoy yourself and do your research. I'm going to stay here. So this woman claims that, she was laying down inside of a tent and she saw through the tent the shadow of a female Bigfoot. Now, here's the good part. Like you and I have experienced, she talked to this woman, not vocally, okay,
right,
from mind to mind, and told her that she was going to be okay. And she said back to the female Bigfoot, this is what she told her girlfriend that she said. She said, why is that? And the female Bigfoot said, because I'm going to help you. So she started feeling better the following day after having that encounter. She went back to the doctors, and the doctors were like, we got some good news. She says, what's that? Somehow, mysteriously, your cancer has disappeared.
Wow.
It's gone. The images are showing that there's no more cancer in your stomach. And she got better and still alive today.
Well, I've never heard of curing, but I've heard of making people sick in the woods.
I've heard of that too.
There's
Bad headaches.
bad headaches, passing out. I watch some of these Bigfoot shows on TV. She's a blonde woman. I can't remember her name, but she's got a show out there, and the guys are out in the woods, and they said they smelled something. They had they smelled that smell, and they felt that eerie feeling. All of a sudden, they've got headaches. They can't stand up. They're nauseated. One of them went to a hospital. Another one, they had a medic come in and look at them. I believe that Bigfoot has that power to make you sick, possibly heal you. And, what's really funny is people say, oh, why didn't you get pictures? Why did this and this? And why do trail cams get better pictures? Bigfoot, I believe, has an energy source that it sucks the battery life out of cameras, out of cell phones, makes them blurry.
Just like spirits.
Yeah, exactly. And you got to think about this. Bigfoot knows when there's a camera out there, because look at deer. You put a trail cam up, deer will walk up and lick the camera.
Yeah.
So if a deer can see that, Bigfoot can see. That's why he's staying out of the range. You might see the side-by-side shadow or something walk past, but he walked past because he didn't see it from an angle. But Bigfoot has powers that I don't think people understand. I don't understand. Like I said, I've heard of people being sick. There's a guy I just watched on one of the Untold Stories where there's a Bigfoot at his house, and he's in the country, and he went out there and shot at it. And since he shot at it, Bigfoot's visited his house, banged on the walls, but now he's got some kind of deformity on his face. And every time Bigfoot comes back, his face is breaking out in these blisters. He's been to the doctor, and the doctor goes, we don't know what it is. We don't know why you have this. And the guy finally showed his face. It looked like he had boils on his face.
Mm.
And right after I watched it, I tried to get a hold of him, and I can't find it. I don't know if they took it down. They don't want it to be aired anymore. But this guy was sick, and like he said, he was never sick a day in his life till Bigfoot started coming around, and he went out in the yard and shot at it.
Yeah, that's why when I go out in the woods, I don't do anything negative. Everything I do is, on a good note. So, like I said, if one charged at me, I might shoot in the air, but I honestly don't think I'd shoot it. I honestly think I'd be wasting my time.
I don't think you can kill one. I've seen shows where these guys have said that there was an Indian, he was out hunting, and he had a Winchester, and he said he shot 7 or 8 times. He took his brother back the next day, or his uncle. The bullets were all on the ground. He was cocking it, and the bullets were flying out. He thought he was shooting it.
There's been Bigfoots that have been shot, and when they left the area and went back to retrieve the Bigfoot, the body was gone.
Yeah.
So,
do you remember Mountain Monsters, the one from Alaska?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
All right. I watch Mountain Monsters. I watch the guys there from the South. You had them on there. Who's the guys there? The Tracker, he died.
Oh, that was Jeff Healy and oh God.
Yeah, what's the name of their show? American Monsters? Is that what theirs is called?
No, it's Mountain Monsters.
Mountain Monsters, okay. I get them confused with Alaskan Monsters.
Mm-hmm.
I've been watching. See, I have a widescreen TV, so I see everything. I had called their producer. I said, "Look, this last show that you guys did, where you were going to send up the drone." I said, if you look over the young kid's shoulder there, I can't remember names here today for some reason. There's a set of red eyes. There's a set of red eyes right behind him in the woods. Well, they came back on the show. Hey guys, we got to tell you something. Our cameraman found. No, your cameraman didn't find crap. Randy found that. I saw it in the show. I saw the red eyes off in the distance. And, the Alaskan Monster guys, they were trying, we're going to catch Bigfoot. We're going to do this and that. I said, listen, you guys go up there screaming and yelling in the woods, building your traps. The daytime Bigfoot is watching you. And the nighttime Bigfoot ain't going nowhere near that. I said, if you want to catch Bigfoot, my grandfather told me a long time ago how to do this, because when we used to go to my grandfather used to go and get junk out of the junkyard to fix up bicycles and sell them to the poor black kids' parents, so they couldn't afford it. He'd sell them like 50 cents a bicycle. But he'd put them together, get parts. My grandfather used to take chicken and put this little bottle. It was about an 8-ounce bottle, brown with a cork in the top. He'd pour a drop or two on it, and he'd lay it all the way around where we were going to be. I said, Grandpa, what's that? Keep the bears away from us. Well, later on, I found out that you put Bigfoot to sleep. Well, I told these guys in Alaska how to do this. I said, put some kind of shanty or something out there with food, whatever it is. Put down a board with nails and put the tranquilizer stuff on every nail. And Bigfoot will step on it and go to sleep instantly. Well, they did this in the show. I didn't get credit for it. They did it, and then they did a mad rush because they saw him go into this little shanty they had built, and it was gone. Well, they explained that another Bigfoot picked up that Bigfoot and took off with it. I don't know. I wasn't there. I only see the TV show. But Bigfoot is not stupid. If you want to catch you got to put it to sleep. I know guys who do moonshining in the woods, and I've talked because I bought moonshine from them, and they said that Bigfoot eats their grain. He eats their corn. Right. I know hunters that, they put the grain things in the air, with the corn that drops down, that Bigfoot's eating that. I said, guys want to catch this thing, put some night juice in that grain and leave it out. He will eat it. If he eats it, he's going to sleep. Put it in an apple. Put it in something he's eating. If you want to catch us and prove your fact, here's how to do this. And what I got from the TV shows were, we like your idea, but we're not interested. And I said, okay, well, you've been using my ideas, but you know something, Dave? I've learned this. If they catch it, there's no more show. The ratings are done.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
Finding Bigfoot, they're not going to find it because the ratings will be done. There's no more show to do.
And who knows how much of a dart would be effective to a Bigfoot, or if it's effective at all.
Well,
no.
My grandfather said that, well, like I said, when I got older, I asked these questions. He said he would take, my grandma would take raw chicken and just break it up, cut it up. And he put just a little drop of this on there and put it out on the outskirts where he was playing in the dump, going through the dump. And he says, that's an offering. But he goes, I don't want him mad, but he goes, it'll put him to sleep. Now, I don't know if he's put one to sleep. I have no idea. But I know when I told Alaskan Bigfoot people, they tried that and supposedly it stepped on the nails and went to sleep. I don't know. I truly believe that he eats anything. He's like anything else. You eat something, you get sick or you're going to go to sleep. If you put enough on these spikes or on these nails and he steps on it, he's got to go night-night. Maybe not that second. Within a few minutes of him walking off, he's going to drop.
Right.
Did you ever see that video how they caught that Bigfoot in the cage?
Yeah, I've seen it. Yeah.
And that phony looking Bigfoot. The guy who did this show called me. He does the Elvis and Michael Jackson show here in Vegas. And he called me and said, hey, I got your number from some people that said, you know how to catch Bigfoot. I said, well, I don't know how to catch him, but I can tell you how, what to do. I said, he said, well, we're going to build a cage. I said, well, first of all, you got to build a cage that he can't get out of. I said, you got to put bars like in a jail because he's going to bend them. Okay. I said, second of all, you got to make it center of the cage wide enough that he can't reach through the bars and take the food off. He's got to go inside. Well, they did this and supposedly they caught one. They took some blood samples, which you never heard about. The next morning, Bigfoot was gone. But Bigfoot can be caught. And I'm willing to help anybody catch one if they want to do it right. I mean, it doesn't take, you don't have to bring a brain surgeon to figure this out. He eats like we eat. And if he's eating grain, he's eating apples, he's eating persimmons, he's eating corn, just put enough of that go-go juice on there. He's going to go night-night.
Wow. Yeah.
And if I catch one, I'm driving downtown New York City in front of CBS, NBC, and ABC with a tarp over him. Okay, boom, here's Bigfoot. Now it's over with. I'll let him go after that. But I just want to prove to the world that there really is a Bigfoot. People who doubt us, oh, you guys are crazy. You're doing this for TV ratings. I'm not getting anything off of this. I don't get anything coming on your show. I don't get paid to do your show. I don't get paid to come out here and tell people my story and stories of things that happened to me with Bigfoot. I'm here trying to educate people that this thing is real.
Yeah. Every day, myself, yourself, the stuff we put up with trolls and I just can't understand why those people doesn't think it exists.
It's because their mind is trained. If they don't see it, they don't believe it until one's caught dead or one's gotten in a cage. They still wouldn't believe it because something? You could charge them $50 a ticket. I don't believe in it, but they'll buy that ticket to go see it.
Oh,
and then once they see it, they go, well, maybe it is. I mean, they still be skeptics because they don't want to believe anything. That's just the point. I get emails, I get text messages. You're a crazy son of a SOB. Why are you telling people lies? And I'll text back or email back. Something. Do you believe there's a God? They'll say, yeah. I said, do you believe that Jesus died on the cross for your sins? Yeah. I said, so why can't you believe that God made something that you can't understand? The cavemen. Do you believe in the cavemen? That's why science and religion doesn't go together. I've seen ghosts in my house. I've had a demon inside me. My wife is actually possessed. It was possessing my body. My wife actually prayed over the top of me and pulled this out, And I mean, there's all kinds of things that I can't explain that have happened to me. But again, I don't have to prove anything to anybody, and the same thing with you. I know what's happened to me, just like what's happened to you. And people, I'm telling you out there right now, I don't know how many people in the room or who's watching, but you don't have to believe me. I don't want you to believe me. But something? Take a walk out in the woods. Go to these places where they've seen Bigfoot. Go out there and sit down and look and experience what we've experienced. And maybe you never will. Hunters say, well, I've been in the woods 50 years. I ain't never seen nothing. Because it's seen you. You just didn't see it. And I believe they're everywhere. As a kid, like I said, I would smell them. I didn't see them half of the time. But when I did see them, I wasn't scared. I was like, am I really seeing this or not? Your mind doesn't know how to react to some things, It's wild, it's crazy. And I'm glad I'm on your show, and thank you for having me on your show, because
you're welcome.
I was scared to tell people at one time what had happened to me. And I said, 50,000 people have seen Bigfoot, can't be wrong. So I'm going to go out there and educate people or tell my story. Hopefully one day they will see one.
Mm-hmm. It's like, I have talks with my son. He's 38 years old. And, when I talk Bigfoot, aliens, he's just, Dad doesn't exist. And I'm like, why not? He said, because I just don't think it does. I said, what about ghosts? He said, well, yeah, I believe in that. Well, and I'll tell you why. For a lot of years, he used to make fun of me when I would, go on these ghost hunts and whatnot. And he come to me one day and he said, Dad, you have access to federal property. Can you get me and a few friends permission to go on a property late one night and go ghost hunt? I said, sure. So him and his friends went there that night, and it was an old fort, battleground, military hospital. It's called Fort Howard in Baltimore County, Maryland. And when they went there, the lights that were on the property went out. Then they heard gunshots. Then they heard cannons going off. Then they heard soldiers like they were running and but they got out of there. Well, when he come back to me and told me that story, I'm like, now what? And he just, shook his head. But he believes in that, but,
I was at Loretta Lynn's farm, her ranch,
plantation, yeah.
Yeah, her plantation. I know Loretta Lynn. I sang in her kitchen as a kid. I used to swim with her, the two twins when I was little. We swim naked
Wow.
in the swim naked there at Herrick Mills down there at this little step, they had steps that walk down to the bottom of the waterfall.
Hmm.
And I was there one night, and again, at this time, I really didn't believe in ghosts, but I saw two Confederate soldiers sitting down there on that landing where I used to stand and jump off in around a campfire. They were just
Awesome.
down there sitting there, and I'm like, am I seeing this or am I hallucinating this? And they were just two guys sitting around a campfire with Confederate. They had one had his cap, the regular Confederate cap on. And the other one had like a cowboy type of hat on, and they were just sitting around this campfire. Now, the campfires become ghosts. I don't know, but what I saw was two soldiers sitting at the bottom of the stairway by this water, bullshitting. I didn't hear them, but I could see them. And I've looked off at Loretta Lynn's porch, and I've seen the girl walk across in the white gown. I've been in Loretta Lynn's house and heard chains rattling from the basement from the slaves used to keep down there, and to see something like that, then you say there's no such thing as a Bigfoot. Well, if you believe in a ghost, then you better believe in Bigfoot. I had a ghost in my house that I didn't know was in my house till I put cameras in my house. And I'm like, whoa. And I tried to get it out of my house, and I did the things that these preachers told me to do, and I did it outside my door. And when I came in, I said, I rebuke it. I want you out. This thing slapped me back in the back of the head, threw me 15 feet across the terrazzo floor, and the door slammed. And I'm like, holy shnikes. You know what I'm saying? I mean, this ghost I had used to come out of my mirror. It was a ball of light. It would come out a ball of light, and then it would turn into like a ribbon. And it would fly around to every one of my cameras, and look at every one of my cameras, and it would run up the stairs. I was renting a room out to a guy, and he said one night, he said, Randy, I got to tell you something. I go, what? He goes, I had a dead naked woman in my bed. I said, really? Dates are that bad, huh? You're killing them? He goes, no. She was white. She was laying in my bed butt naked. I said, what'd you do? He says, I pulled the covers on my head and started praying to Jesus, and she'd go away. And I said, you're nuts. Well, we went and looked on the cameras, and sure enough, that thing flew up the stairs and went into his room. A few nights after that, it came out. Do you remember the old Bela Ghostly movies, Dracula, how he'd be a bat and then he'd be like a cartoon figure? It would come out.
Right.
This ball of light did that, this ribbon, and went through my French doors into my bedroom. And that night, I had dreams. I was talking to somebody. I was talking to this ghost. I don't know if I was asleep or what I was, but I had an actual footage of it walking through the door. It went from a ribbon to a body right through the door. And so, yeah, I believe in ghosts. I believe in Bigfoot. I believe in demons. And why I've experienced all this stuff, I don't know. Maybe I'm a porthole for something. I have no idea. But you don't believe in Bigfoot? I don't care. You don't believe in ghosts? I don't care. Exactly. I know what I've seen. Call me crazy, whatever. But you've seen it. Randy, I've seen it.
Exactly. I'm going to show you a picture of a place that I conducted research from 2007 to 2016. And lots of activity at the location. But during my research there from 2007 to 2016, I only saw one full body apparition. And tons of other activity. I'm going to show you a picture of it.
Okay.
It's near the Susquehanna River in Conowingo, Maryland. The area is called Darlington. So I'm going to put that picture up and show it to you.
Okay. Whoa. Okay.
Yeah. So this house was owned by a wealthy family by the name of the Worthingtons. And like I said, I stopped conducting, I used to host overnights and weekend stays with paranormal teams that would come in and do investigations. Now, here's a coincidence, but strange to me. Years later, now 5 years ago, I moved to PA. Okay, and I'm in Bucks County, PA,
Mhm.
and I go out and with my daughter-in-law and my son, and I'm looking looking for a place for me and my wife to live at, and the only place I could find, I'll show it again, was that was the house
All
owned
right.
by the Worthington family, part of the Underground Railroad, had a lot of rich history and stuff like that. Now the cabin I reside in, you ready for this?
Go ahead.
The name of the road, Worthington Drive.
Wow.
Yeah. And the crossroad, Stump Road. So I'm on Stump Road and Worthington Drive. I
That's
thought it was kind
crazy.
of it's like, how likely is that?
It's
But
a million. It's like finding a needle in a haystack. It's one in a million.
yeah, I mean, it's like, is that house trying to tell me to come back? You
Could
know,
be. It
I
could
don't
be.
know, but yeah.
Strange things happen for everything happens for a reason, big guy.
Oh yeah, definitely. But like I said, I only had one full body apparition, and that was the a paranormal team said, "All right, it's 3 o'clock in the morning. We're going to go to our room and not do anything more until tomorrow evening because they were there for the weekend." I said, "Okay," and I said, "Well, I'm going to go in the family room and I'm just going to crash on the couch." I went in, I sat down, I took my what do they call them? Croc shoes. I took them off, and I just laid back and put my head on the pillow, and I heard a noise, and I immediately sat up, and there was this woman. It didn't look like she was walking. It looked like she was gliding
Hmm.
across the entrance hallway of the house because the front door was no more than 15 feet from where I laid my head. And I watched her go by, and I said, "Wait a minute, everybody's supposed to be in bed." So I got up, and as I walked to the bottom of the staircase, she vanished. She was nowhere to be found. She had on period clothing. She had on a dress the color of a robin egg, which is
Hmm.
real pretty color blue. So I go up the staircase and I go to the room and I go to the leader's room of the group. And he comes out in the hallway and I said, "Is one of your members still walking around investigating and possibly have on an old time dress, blue?" And he's like, "No." He said, "I'm the only one still awake, but I'm in the room." I said, "Well, what do you want to do about that?" And I told him what I just saw. And he says, "Well, I'm going to have everybody come out of the room." So he had all the members come out of the room and they stayed up the rest of the night investigating. They went up to the cupola, which is, I'm going to show this picture again. If you look at the top of the house, it's like a dome. They call it a
Yeah, the little
cupola.
round thing. Yes.
Yeah. So they went up there and they started doing EVP work, and meters were going off like crazy, and they started getting mist and different things in their photos, and a few people, members, heard verbally, this woman crying. So then by 7 o'clock in the morning, they were done. They went to sleep. I went to sleep, and we got up the next day, and that evening, uh, they tried communicating, with this lady, and one of the things, as far as the history about that house, a woman was hung up in that cupola. So I'm thinking, she came in or just came by so I could see her, went up to the cupola, and I think that's what that was about. But, a lot of years there, several children died at the location. Emily was buried not too far from there in the Worthington family cemetery. We would get her in our EVPs. We would hear her crying and other kids crying. And there was a number of kids that passed away from, I think, what is it? Is he scarlet fever back in them days?
Mm-hmm.
The house was
Yep.
built in the 1800s, so 1849, I believe. Yeah. So that was one of the interesting places I investigated for a lot of years. Like I said, I had access to federal property. I've had paranormal groups ask me, "How do you get in these places?" I'm like, I write a letter, I send an email. And
Right.
like, we've done that. We get no response, or we just get told no. And I'm like, I don't know how to explain it. I just don't know. You know, Eastern State Penitentiary, where Al Capone was. Now you can go there all day long and do a visit or do an overnight investigation. Anything that you do, you have to do from the outside of Al Capone's cell.
Right.
I had access where I was allowed to sit on the bed in his
Wow.
cell and do EVP work. And people were like, "Oh my God, man, how do you?" I'm like, "I don't know. It just, it happened, you know."
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's a
Hey,
lot of places.
some people are luckier than other people are.
Yeah.
It's how you ask.
I hope that before I pass on, I have two places left on my bucket list, and that's Alcatraz and the Queen Mary. Those are the two that I want to do, that I want to investigate.
I'll tell you what. I have a place here in Vegas. My wife and I stumbled on it. We're out. She's out taking pictures. A man owns some kind of electric company. I don't know what he does, but they got next door to it is a dump. But we went to his house. My wife was taking pictures of an old wagon. He came out. And I said, "Hey," I said, "We're not doing that. We're just taking pictures." He goes, "Why don't you go up to my ranch, or what do you want to call it?" He says, "And all kinds of stuff up there you can take pictures of." Now he had. Do you remember the old Christmas train you used to see as a kid? It was a real train. This is a Christmas train. He's got this sitting up there. He's got
Wow.
Abraham Lincoln's train sitting up there. They used to carry him back and forth. On this
Wow.
property, he's got camels and giraffes and all kinds of stuff, like in his pen, walking around. And he's got a train that actually runs around the property, but he's got old trains. And then he's got these little houses that are, I don't know, it looks like stuff that elves will live in. It's like covered ground with doors are only like 4 foot tall. And people come there and they sit outside. He has a party on Thanksgiving, feeds a lot of people. Well, there's one train that you can actually go in on, and they got a train they drag with a couple of horses around the park. And my wife and I were in there, and I had the conductor's hat on, holding a lantern in my hand, and she's taking my picture, and I'm taking pictures of her, like we're people on the train. It was kind of cool. But she had taken a picture of me outside standing next to this building, and we didn't see this till we got home. But there was somebody on the train looking out at us. And I'm like,
Wow.
"Whoa." She goes, "I didn't see that." Well, we started looking at the rest of the pictures. Her and I had taken a selfie on her 35 millimeter camera, and we're both standing together. She's next to me. She snaps the photo, and we take 2 or 3 photos, and that's it. We're done. We went outside, took some more pictures of the animals, and he's got a thing up there where aliens are supposed to come and land and all this stuff. And the picture we had taken of her and I together, we aged 60, 70 years old. My hair is gray now, but at the time it wasn't. My facial expressions changed. Her hairstyle changed. It was like 2 people standing in front of us while she took the picture. And there were 2 ghosts. And it's scary. If I would have known that, I would have never went on that train. But to see we changed. Our bodies, like our faces, we got older. Her hair, my wife's hair is long. Her hair was put up in a bun. My hair was combed to the side, pushed back. It was short. And it was really weird to see this. And there's a lot of spooky things that happen at this place. If you ever come to Vegas, I will take you there.
My son's a corporate businessman. He just went to Las Vegas, and I believe it's at that hotel behind you, casino that he stayed at for his company event. They do it once a year where he goes away for a week.
One to the
And
right, the big one to the right, it's got the little V at the top, not the side where you see the Ferris wheel. That's Caesars, and the other side is all the it's they're all kind of hotels. That's the largest Ferris wheel in the world, by the way. It's an observation tower. It takes you 30 minutes to go all the way around it. But Vegas has a lot of haunted stuff here.
He said he walked about a half hour from the airport across the street, right to the hotel. So you probably have an idea about what area.
MGM, probably the MGM. MGM, it has to be the MGM.
He's a district corporate manager. I'm really proud of him. He started when he was like in his 20s, and he's doing really good. Like I said, once a year he goes to Vegas and stays there.
We have a haunted house here. I'm trying to think of the guy's name. Guy's real famous. I can't think. It's open 24 hours. It's open every day of the week, and it costs you like $45 to go in there. But this guy's gathered stuff from all over the world.
Wow.
And everything in this place is hot. He tells you, do not touch, do not pick up. And one of the basketball players from California, I won't give his name out, but he went and touched this object, and the ghost went home with him. It was haunting him in his house. He couldn't play basketball. He couldn't sleep. He couldn't do anything. They had to bring him back to the haunted house here in Vegas and do a spiritual move of some sort. Get the spirit off him and back into that statue.
Wow. Linda, good friend of mine, she says the old casinos were said to be haunted.
Yes. The ones on Fremont Street, Binion's, which is now, they call it the Roach Motel, but it's roached out. But the restaurant and the casino's downstairs, there's nobody in the stand at the top. They say there's ghosts that look out those windows. You can see them sometimes when you drive by the hall down the highways. People say they looked up and seen people looking out the windows of the hotel. Fremont Street is the only part of Vegas that's the original. The Strip and everything else, what you're seeing behind me, that is all city property. I mean, that's all county property. The only part of the city of Vegas is Fremont Street. And the hotels behind me are basically, most of them have been torn down, except for like the Flamingo. Tropicana's coming down. That was a haunted hotel. Now they're making Oakland A's are going to be our new baseball team here. So they're building a stadium.
Yeah, I heard about that. Yeah.
But yeah, they have haunted tours here that you can actually go out. People said they've seen ghosts, seen a lot of strange things here in Vegas. I mean, especially in the desert, a lot of holes out there with people laying in them.
Randy, I'm going to share a video with you, and Linda, that is on. Her husband is in this clip. I truly hope I don't upset her, but he was one of my best members of the Maryland Paranormal Research Team. Mm-hmm. And we were in Maryland. I can't remember the name of the location, but I know it used to be a courthouse and it was converted into a mansion. So he's in a room and he's setting up wiring and running video and stuff. And he's trying to get something situated. So in the video, you'll hear a lot of banging. In the windows behind him, that's other members on the outside taking, photos and stuff like that with flash. But what you're going to see is you're going to see him walk away into the other room. And about 4 to 5 seconds after he leaves the room, you'll see a blind on a door lift up, and you can clearly hear this with headphones on. When I've had people play this, without headphones, they told me I can't hear it. I'll have to use headphones. But anyway, I'm going to play it. You're going to hear a voice say, "Go away. Go away." Okay?
Let's check it out.
Wait a minute. I don't know why. Oops, I hit the wrong one. I'm sorry.
Welcome to live TV.
Okay, let me play it again. Okay, were you able to hear it and see it?
I saw the shade move, but I didn't hear it. I listened very carefully.
Yeah, I'll send that to you, and
I would love. I would love. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it's because I'm getting a second hand, but I mean, it was. I heard everything he was doing, but I saw the shade flutter, and I didn't really hear anything. So.
Yeah, the video is kind of dark when I play it on here, but if I send it to you in an email and you play it, it's the quality and the sound is a lot better. I don't know why it's so dark on here.
Well, it's because first of all, we're on a 3-second delay.
Okay.
So that they might play after when you're cutting it off versus actually seeing the video, because remember I'm talking sometimes my lips are not moving on my end. What I'm saying? So we're on a delay system because of the internet. So. Right.
So another thing I wanted to bring to your attention is I'm going to be filming a low budget. Well, I'm not going to call it a low budget movie because the funds are all going to come out of my pocket. I'm going to pay for it all, and self-published, and I'm going to put it out there. I'm hoping to start filming in 2025, and it's going to be a Bigfoot movie, and it's called Bigfoot, Don't Pull That Trigger. So, give you an idea of what it's about. It'll be about me out there, doing research and with Bigfoot, a number of Bigfoots, and it's not going to be cheesy. It's just going to be. It's actually, when people watch it, they're going to get a message out of it. So,
something. I'll be interested in watching that. Like I said, send me stuff. I love stuff like this. I met up with a group today who are doing thing about ghosts, well, actually aliens and stuff like that, but about the moons and stuff, and what we think are clouds are really planets next to us, and disasters, and it's these guys are really into this stuff, and I learned a lot today. I told them, matter of fact, I'm having them on my show. I was on their show today before I came on your show. A lot of things you can't hear and see on video, but anything you have, please send to me. I would love to put it up on my show. You're going to be on my show on the 20th, matter of fact.
That's correct, yeah.
So you come on, bring that stuff with you. Anything you want to play, send it to me. If you can't put it on the feed, I'll put it on the feed for you. For people out there, my show is Body Slamming Conversations. We talk about everything and anything. I'm interested in ghosts, Bigfoot, anything anybody wants to talk about. I got into this business for the Bigfoot thing, and now it's really streamed out to a lot of things. And Dave, anything you have, I'm more than happy to put it up there for you. And I'd love to have you on my show. I would like to have you come on and host a show with me one night.
Sure. You let me know when. Yeah, one more thing about that movie. My family has property in West Virginia, 525.2 acres. and that's where the movie's going to be filmed in good old West Virginia. And
a lot of strange things in West Virginia.
Yeah, the set. It's there's. I don't want to spoil it, so I'm not going to give any more information about it. But the sad part is, John Bowman, good friend of mine. He was going to be my Bigfoot. Big biker dude, good biker, good-hearted guy. Passed away on March the 18th of this year, and he was part of the podcast as well. But he worked in the background because he was an EMT and a fireman, and very busy guy. Working 50 to 80 hours a week. But I lost my Bigfoot, and I know he's going to be looking down on me, and he's going to be shining down, and it'll work out. So
I'll tell you what I'll do. If you want to do it, it's up to you. While you're shooting your movie, I will shoot my podcast if you want to do a live podcast while you're shooting and showing people I'm making the movie. And, we could do some kind of dedication to your friend there that day. And,
sure.
I want to do people out in the field doing Bigfoots, looking for ghosts and stuff. So, they're out there with their phones or whatever cameras shooting it back to me. And I want to be like here in the studio and saying, okay, talking to them, and they're out doing searches for ghosts or Bigfoot. I think a live stuff like that would be really awesome. If you guys got something going on, you're out in the field. If you want to, I'll link it up, and we'll do it. You guys go out and do your investigation. I'll show it live on my station. My station goes out around the world, so I think people overseas that got scared when I was putting my audio shows up, they're really going to freak out if they see you guys out there live and see a Bigfoot or see a ghost. I mean, it'll be really great TV, as we call it. But
yeah, John was like 6'4". He was like 370 pounds, so he would have been the perfect.
Well, if
I know they're a lot bigger, but and one of the things I'm having a hard time finding is a good costume, that's going to be used in the movie. Something
here in Vegas, there's a lot of movie. We're just starting to make movies here. Mark Wahlberg has got him and another guy, the one who played Lethal Weapon. They're opening up a movie studio here on the north side and the south side of Vegas. They're taking the actors. Mel Gibson, yes. They're taking actors who are awake, not woke, and who are not in this demon stuff, and who are not in this child molesting and all this sex trafficking and stuff. They're coming to Vegas. Vegas is going to be the new Hollywood. And if you're not a good Christian and stuff, they're not even they told Robert De Niro, no, you bend up to that island where the kids were all being molested there, or Weinstein or whatever his name, whatever.
Right.
No, we won't take you. They're not taking a lot of actors. But Vegas has places where you can get some really cool costumes. I'm talking authentic costumes. So I'll check around for you.
Okay.
And if you want, there's a lot of prop houses here. I mean, because Vegas does everything to the max. You might get
I've seen a lot of stuff on TV. There's a guy that has, I think it's called Liquidation something. There's a guy that has all kind of props in a warehouse.
Yes,
but yeah, I can't think of his name, but
it's Clark County Auction. I buy a lot of stuff from there.
King Kong and
yeah. I mean, they've got some.
It. He said, "I've seen Bigfoot statues on there," and
Yes. There's a lot of stuff. If you start calling around, I'm telling you, you can find a Bigfoot costume here. And I'll tell you what, I'll do Bigfoot for you and call me Fat Squatch. Hey, that's Fat Squatch. It's got to be his little brother,
Right.
But yeah, hey, dude, when you guys are shooting it, let me know, and we'll podcast a show up while you're making the movie, behind the scenes and stuff. I think it'd be cool as hell.
Right. The movie is going to have a male, adult, female, adult, and probably 2 juveniles. So, it's like I said, it's not going to be cheesy, but it's going to be low budget, and I'm gonna film it the best I can. If I'm not happy with it, I'll redo parts.
Have you seen Have you seen the movie I Killed Hitler and Bigfoot with Sam Elliott in it?
I saw that.
That was the cheesiest Bigfoot I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, I was disappointed because I was like, I can't find it on DVD. And if I do, it's really expensive. I said, I just got to wait, maybe I'll just go on Amazon or something like that and order it. And the whole time I was looking around for it, I was super excited. And then when I watched it, I was like really disappointed.
If there's a movie you want to see, let me know. I download a lot of movies. I mean, they're
Okay.
all studio. I mean, CD quality. They're, top of the line, just like you see in a movie theater. Or if you bought the DVD, I download a lot of movies. And a matter of fact, I think I might even have that one. If you want it, I'll send it to you. But it was the most cheesiest Bigfoot I've ever seen in my life. So,
Yeah.
a really good gorilla outfit would do the trick. And there's a guy, he's on Untold Stories, where he actually goes out. He does costumes for Hollywood, and he did a Bigfoot costume. And I know he's got two or three costumes that he's probably not using. They'd probably let you use or rent to you.
One of the best videos I've seen about Bigfoot was Man versus Bigfoot.
Yes.
I like that. That's the type of movie I'm going to be making. Low budget, but not cheesy.
The Bigfoot,
good storyline, something that is going to make you cry at the end.
The Bigfoot costumes, the King Kong costumes, the gorilla costumes, those are made out of yak hair.
Okay.
What makes a good Bigfoot is everybody's trying to prove, like, the one that they took back in the 70s or the Gilder Patrick film, is that the costumes, the back of the neck always flares up when they're moving,
Mm-hmm.
So every time I watch a movie, I watch for that hair to flap, I'm saying in the movie. And the hands are like rubber, they're huge hands. But hey, if there's anything I do for you guys to promote the movie, or you let me know, I'm 100% with you, buddy.
I will. And I'm going to send you some information. I made some notes. I'm going to send you that video as well of Ed's experience, MPRT's experience with that blind and a voice saying "go away." And Randy, we're at the top of the second hour. So what I want to do now is I want you to go ahead and first I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for being my guest tonight. You're
welcome, sir.
A great guest. And go ahead and tell the listeners how they can get a hold of you. Any websites or emails you want to kick out there.
My email is WROKTVLasVegas@gmail.com. My show on podcast is Body Slamming Conversations. Like I said, we talk about everything and anything, from Bigfoot to aliens to politics. I'm open for new suggestions and ideas. Anybody wants to be a guest on my show, Dave's going to be on my show on the 20th. Dave, like I said, I'd love to have you come on and host a show with me sometime. Mm-hmm. I'm pretty much open to everything. My radio station is under Zeno.com. You can go check it. I play all kinds of different genres of movie. And Dave, I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do. I've never done this with anybody else except for my own, but if you allow me to, I would love to put your show tonight up on my radio station and air it all over the world for you.
Go for it. Appreciate it.
As long as I got your permission, I will see what I can do to.
You have my permission. Yeah.
I'm going to have to get the URLs and stuff from it like that from you, but I would love to. I think you're a great host. I love the things you talk about. I have seen your shows before. And anybody that's out there, if you're not a believer, you need to start believing, because we're not out here just talking out of paper bags. You know what I'm saying? This is stuff that we've experienced. And Dave, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you for having me on your show, buddy.
Thank you. And I want the listeners to know that every day I'm working on this podcast to make it better and better and better. So please bear with me. I'm going to make some changes. There's some things I'm going to talk to Rock and Randy about, green screen and some other changes I want to make. And
matter of fact, if you look behind me, you can see a green screen moving when I move. I got a green screen behind me.
Okay. I want to get it to the point where I'm 100% happy and then I'll leave it at that, and just add new things here and there, as the months go on. So, Randy, again, I want to thank you for being my guest tonight, and I thank you.
It's
From the
been my
bottom of my
pleasure.
heart.
It's my joy to be
Well,
on here with you, and I hope everybody watches the show. And don't forget, subscribe to these pages.
mhm.
If you subscribe, it keeps us on the air. And people, you can go out and donate to Dave's show, sponsor his show. I mean, he doesn't ask for that, but I'm telling you to go out and do it, because this is how we keep things. We buy better equipment and stuff like that for ourselves, and keeps us on the air. And having airtime is not cheap, as you know, Dave. And it
Oh
takes a
yeah.
lot. It takes a lot to air a show. I've always walked into a show where my camera people, I just walked in and did the show, my radio and TV shows. I'm doing this now firsthand, loading stuff, finding pictures. It's a lot of work and it's hard. And tell your friends about these shows. We need viewers to come out there, because this is what keeps us going, because we don't know how long we'll be able to be on YouTube or anything else. So people, if you're listening, or if you've seen the show afterwards, come and see us. Share the show on YouTube, put it on your Facebook page, put it on your Twitter page. This is what keeps us going. And I'm glad everybody had a great, was out here. Says, thank you, Randy. We enjoy hearing your show experience. Thank you for listening to me, people. I'm glad I could shed some light on stuff. And Dave, you're a great host, and your fans and your watchers. Thank you, everybody.
Yes, Randy. Again, from the bottom of my heart, thank you. And like I said, I'm going to send you some information and my address and all that good stuff. And
Okay, we'll talk
we'll
after
stay in
the
touch.
show.
Yeah. So, well, I got some things I got to do after the show, but
Okay.
maybe we could set something up for.
Hey, you got my number. You can call me on the phone.
Oh yeah, definitely.
You're on my friends list of people now on my phone. So.
All right, listeners, thanks for joining in, and Randy, thank you again, and
My
rock
pleasure.
on, man.
Thank
All
you.
right. Good night.
Good night.